Hello, I'm Maurice Dimba and welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to use PEB tools, that is pre-engineered building tools, to create portal frame. Welcome once again and let's get started. If you take a look on the screen here, you can see grids already created, and just to check on the measurements used to create these grid lines, I'll just double click on the grid line and this will present itself on this. Under this grid dialog box, we'll be able to see the dimensions used to create these grid lines. Under X you can see, Y you can see the dimensions, Z axis you can see the dimensions there. So this should be 14, not 13. That's it. I'll just go ahead and click modify. Once you've made some modification on your grid line, remember to modify, and that's it. Now I'm going to applications and components here. I'll click on these applications and components. Immediately you mouse over this button here, you'll be able to see the writings are up there that it's called applications and component. This is where you access all your macros. Just double click there and just type PEB under this on this dialog box, and we want to use this tool, PEB frames. We want to use this pre-engineered building frames tool to create portal frames. Now I'll double click on it. Now under this window we want to create a portal frame here by putting in our dimensions, and in this case we want to use this span of 30 meters and the height of 12 meters. We'll maintain these measurements, though we change this to 0. We'll change this to 0 because that 50 is just for grouting, but in this case we will not be placing grouts anymore. And if you come to interior column spacing, these are the gable columns that will be spanning from 6 meters center to center. You can see that we'll place 1, 2, 3, 4, and this distance to this distance is 4 meters. That's why it is here interior column spacing. We have 4 of them, and roof slope is 5 degrees, and you can change the roof slope also. You can feed 15 or whichever slope you want, and that's it. And if you come here under frames tab and click this drop down arrow, you'll have variety of portal frames. If you want this annex type, if you want this annex type, if you want this, if you want that, you can pick on that. But in this case we're going to use the first one. So in this case you can see this measurement here, 200. This is a slight offset of the point of this point of the midpoint of this grid line. So we want to take it back. So what we'll do, just feed up we'll just prefix it with a negative sign right there, and that's all. Now what I'm going to do, just go ahead and apply, and I'll apply. Then once I've applied that, I'll come here and click pick. I want to pick the points. I'll click on the points. Then I want to define the points where I want my portal frame to start and end. I'll snap on that spot and stretch all the way to that spot. I'll snap right there. The moment you click on the second spot, this dialog box of PEB frame dialog box will come up, and once it comes up, just go ahead and click create and give it some time to load the frames. You can have a preview of what's going on, even if it's in the process of still loading, the frames. Once it's done, this small dialog box will appear. Frames are inserted. Just go ahead and click OK. Once you've clicked OK, come here and accept that by clicking OK right there, and you can see these are the gable columns. Now click on empty screen just to deselect everything that we selected previously. Now prior to going any further, I want to categorize this and face manager. I want to categorize this this gable under face manager. Now what I want to do, I'll come to face manager under view here, just click view so that you can access the face. Now I have some here, though I need to add some. I have gable, I have mezzanine floor, and I'll place purlins also. So I'll click add and add purlins here, because I'll need purlins later on. Purlins, that's okay. And just click current. So the moment you see this symbol of art, means it's current. That's it. And what else? That's enough. Now I'll come to gables here and make it current here and select it once again. Then come here and select everything here. I'll select everything here, and now press Ctrl and deselect the grid. Once I've deselected the grid, I'll come here and click modify and click OK. And to confirm or check whether this has been placed or has been categorized under face, what I'll do, I'll come back to face and pick on mezzanine and pick on gable and click objects by face, and you'll be able to see everything is selected. Is selected. I'll click OK. I'll click OK and click on empty screen right there. Now what I want to do, I want to start first of all place my beams, because I want to create this will be I go down with offices and overhead cranes. So the offices will span from this end to this end, from this end to this end. That is 12 meters. Now what I'm going to do, I'll come to steel and start laying my steel beams. So to do that, first of all, I want to hide this. I want to hide this gable. Now I'll come back to face, then click view. I'll come to face, then click gable and click object by faces. Click OK. Then I'll right click and click hide and hide everything right there. And I'll switch to plan view. I'll switch to plan view and zoom this that close. I'll come to steel here and pick on beam, then snap on that spot, move all the way to that spot, double click on that and come to position and change that to middle and rotate these to top and see how that is turning out. Click top right there. That's it. Let me just switch back to isometric and see how it is. It has positioned itself on the grid line. It's perfect. And let me check the properties of this beam. It's 305 by 65 by 54. That's okay. I could just go ahead and click OK, then switch back to the plan view. Now having done this, just right click and come to copy, and I want to copy it from this spot and take it right here, and also take it right here, and press Ctrl and pick on that, right click and come to copy, and I'll snap right on that spot and take it here and take it right there and snap right there and snap right here and snap right here. Perfect. Now what else? What I want to place now, I want to place this, and I want to place another beam right here that will be running from this spot to this spot. Well, how do you do that? We'll come back to steel and pick on steel beam, and I'll snap right here and snap all the way here. Perfect. Now what else? Just pick on that, right click and come to copy and we'll just copy another one right there, and another one right there, and another one right here, and another one right here. Press Ctrl and select on that, and select that, and select that one also, and go all the way and pick on that one. Right click and come to copy, and I want to copy this from this spot and take it here, and take it here, and take it here. Remember, one thing we've done wrong, which is we haven't selected this as, we haven't taken these to faces. So what we'll do, just undo, because it's something easy to do, and just undo everything and snap, make it bigger, and just undo everything here. Just undo that, undo that, undo that, undo that, undo that, undo that. And now I'll come to faces here under view and click on faces, and I'll come to mezzanine floor here and make it current, set it current, and select on this. So once I've selected mezzanine floor, I'll come here and pick on this beam. Once I've picked on that beam, I'll click modify and click OK, and click on empty screen just to confirm whether it has been categorized under mezzanine floor. And under face manager, click on mezzanine floor and make it current by shifting this art symbol to mezzanine. Then come here and click objects by faces just to confirm whether it has been moved to face manager under mezzanine filter. Now I'll click OK. Now having done that, I'll come to copy. And click copy special and click linear, and I want how many of these? I want 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now checking the axis, it fall under y-axis, and will move in the opposite direction of the y-axis. So I'll prefix my dimensions of center to center 6 meters with a negative sign. Now I want how many of this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll feed here 5 of them, then click OK. It has gone beyond what we expected, but just click OK. We'll get rid of whatever we don't want. That's it. Then right click and click fit in. So you see our beam is back. Our gable is back, but in this case it shouldn't be a big worry. What we'll do, just click on that and press Ctrl and select on that, select Ctrl and select on that, and select on this and select on that. Right click and come to copy and pick on copy, and snap on this spot, and snap right there, and snap right here. Perfect. And now we want to place another beam running all the way from this end to this end, and to do that we'll come back to steel and pick on that, and pick on beam and snap right there, and move all the way to that spot, and we'll pick on that, right click and come to copy, and we'll copy this, we'll populate this using copy special, click linear. Then how many do you want? We want 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 4 of these, not 5. That's all, and click copy, click OK and accept that. That's it. Then press Ctrl and select all this, select all that, right click and come to copy here. Then we want to hold it, or you can use copy special to take it all the way to this end. That is the best way. Right click and come to interrupt, right click and come to special copy, and come to this copy linear dialog box and check the XYZ axis. We have the Y axis and the X axis pointing the positive direction. Now we have to get rid of this negative sign. And how many do we want? We want 3. So we'll feed 3 here and click copy. There's a duplicate, and what we'll do, just click delete a duplicate. You've seen what has gone wrong. We fed dimension on the wrong axis, which is y-axis. Now what we do, click don't expand and click undo. Now we'll change this to 0 and come to x-axis in the positive direction and feed 6 meters here and click OK. We are here, and right click and click interrupt. There we are. And if we come to view and we come to view to access the face manager, when we come to mezzanine floor and click face manage by face, you can see the mezzanine floor has been picked, and click OK. Then we'll switch back to our isometric view. You can see the mezzanine floor has been picked. So what we are going to do, we'll deselect this by clicking on empty screen, then come back to face manager and pick on the gable, make it current, select on this and click object by faces and click OK. Then come to then right click and come to special copy, click linear and check the direction of your XYZ axis. We want to populate this gable on the x-axis, but you can see the x-axis is pointing on the opposite direction. Now what we do, we just prefix this dimension by a negative sign. And how many do we want? We want 3 gables because we already have 1. Now what we do, we'll feed 3 here and click copy. That's it, and that's what we have. Now deselect that by clicking on empty screen and click OK. Now we come back to face manager by clicking on that, then come to mezzanine floor, we'll make it current, then click on it, then object by faces, we'll select that and click OK, then right click and a special copy, click linear. Then we want to populate this up to make floors for our offices before we populate the gables along the x-axis. Now I'll come to z-axis here and change this to 0. I'll come to z-axis and I'll feed 3 meters high, and I need 3 floors. I'll click copy. Going up, you can see the z-axis pointing up. I'll click copy. Click copy and click OK. And the bottom one, what I'll do with it, I'll just go ahead and delete it. Just go ahead and delete it. Go ahead and delete it. I'll click delete and that's gone. Now when I come here, our floor will be concrete floor, will be a slab. Now to confirm this, whether this is under mezzanine floor within the face manager, please check that everything is categorized and we can hide everything while we work on the other part. Click on empty screen, and what we want to do here is very simple. It's very simple, and what we want to now, we want to offset this. We'll click on that, press Ctrl and click on that, and click on this, and we want to offset that up by 2 meters. Just take this up by 2 meters, just one of it. Just click copy. That's okay, and that's it. And at the end also we want to copy that up. Just select everything right there, right click and come to special copy and click that. Perfect. Click on empty screen to deselect whatever you've just selected. What you should never forget is saving your work, because you might lose everything in case your UPS fails and the power also fails. You lose everything. So remember, you remember to save your work. That's it. Now the next move is to lay next move is to place other beams here. Want to place another beam here, cutting across like that. Now what we're going to do again, before doing that, let's check our face manager which filter is active. Is mezzanine floor. Select on that, then just click OK. We'll come to beam here and click on beam right there and click on that. Then we snap on that spot and snap on that spot perfectly well. Then click on that, right click and come to special copy, click linear, then change this z-axis to 0, and we want to populate this beam along the x-axis but on the opposite direction. Now we'll prefix that by negative sign right there, and we need 2 of these. We just need two of that, and click copy and click OK. Then press Ctrl, pick on that, pick on this, then right click and come to special copy once again, and we want to populate this along the y-axis. How many do we want? We want 5 of these. Want 5 of that. Want 5 of that, and we'll change this to 0 and come to y-axis and feed 6 meters here and click copy. And click copy. We have an excess of 1 which you don't need. Populate feed file there and click copy, and that's it. Now we'll pick on this. We'll pick on this, right click and select all this, and select all this, select all that, pick on everything right there. Make sure you can access whatever you've just created, and select all of them. Right click and press Ctrl and pick on that, pick on that, pick on this, pick on that one, pick on that one also, and pick on that. Now I'll come to navigate and rotate this. Remember, I've repeated this several times. When it comes to rotating your model, it depends with the tool that makes your work easier. You can use Ctrl Shift by pressing a middle button on the mouse and rotate your model. You can also come to navigate here and pick on the rotate with mouse and use the middle button on the mouse to rotate your model. Whichever makes your work easier, use it. Now I've selected on these. Now I want to populate them upward along the z-axis. Now what I'll do, I'll just come here and pick on copy special. Remember the under mezzanine filter in face manager. I'll come to linear here and I'll change everything to 0, and I'll remain with only z-axis here, and under z-axis I'll feed 3 meters high. And how many do I want? I just need 3 of these, and I'll just change that to 3 and copy it up. I'll click copy, I'll click OK. Now the bottom ones, what I'll do with them, just to delete them. I'll come to navigate and click on that and rotate. Remember, I haven't connected them. I haven't connected them to the main columns. That one will come later on. Now the next thing remaining is now the slab. We want to create the slab. To create the slab, what we'll do, we'll come to face manager here. We'll click on face manager, then come to faces here, where I'll click on mezzanine and click on face, on object by faces. I'll click on that, then I'll right click and come to hide. I'll hide everything. Remember, our slab will run from U to grid R. Note that, because we are going to hide everything and you might get confused when we remain with only grid. Now I'll come to face here again and come to gable and pick object by face. Everything it has been selected right there, and now I'll hide this. I'll click hide. Now we don't have anything in place. So remember, our slab will run from grid U to grid R. Now let's switch back to plan view. we'll come to switch to 3D or plane. Click on that, then we'll zoom closer to that spot, then come to concrete here and pick on slab. I'll snap on that spot and run all the way to R, grid line R, because this is where our column for the offices ends. Now run all the way to this end and snap right here, and move all the way to this end and snap here. I'll snap right here, and move all the way to where your initial spot where we started, and snap and close the polygon to create the slab. Click right there. You can see the outline of what we've just created from the top view. Now we'll switch back to isometric view, and if you double click on the slab here, you can see the thickness of our slab is that the material is C30, and we'll not go into details of the slab. What will just change is the color of the slab. We'll just give it a gray color just to represent or make it look like a slab, and click apply, modify, click modify, click that, apply and accept that. Now we'll pick on it, and right click and come to special copy here and click linear. Once you've clicked on linear, we'll populate this up by 3.2. Yes, feed 200 right there, because our mezzanine goes all the way to 3 meters, and the thickness of our slab is 200. So we want this slab to sit on top of the mezzanine, or on the mezzanine, on the platform. Now what we'll do first, we'll make it 1, not 3. We'll click OK to take it up right there, and click on this one and right click and come to special copy, and we'll take it now to 3, because we already have 1.2 here, so we change this to 3 and take it up. So how many we'll just need 2 of this, just need 2 of that, and take it up, copy it up, click OK, and the bottom one will get rid of it, get rid of the bottom end one, and we'll delete that. Now if we just refresh by clicking on clicking on empty screen, then right click and come to redraw, and everything will be back, and you can see our slab is right here. Our slab is right here. Perfect. Now what we are going to do, it's very simple. I want just to do small thing, just try to create some connection here by I'll just use this connection, 32, and pick on simple, just double click on it. I'll pick a default here and I'll click load and modify, apply and accept that, and I'll try to connect that. Remember, before connecting any member of a PEB, make sure you disassociate it from the assembly. So I'll just click this button here to select the object, select objects in the components. Now I'll click on that. So if I want to connect that to that, and the connection will be created right there. Not perfect. I'll undo that. I want to connect that to that. Connection has been created, and also I want to connect that to that, and this to that, and this to that, and connect that to that, and I want to connect that one, this one also. The connection is not neatly done or perfectly done. I'll undo that. Now I'll pick this I'll pick the flange here and that, and now you can see the connection, and pick on that and that. Remember the pre-engineered building tool, these are plates that are joined together. It's a customized beam or column. Now I'll connect this to that, and connect this one to that one, and I'll connect that to that, and just come out, and I'll connect this to this one, and I want to connect that to that. I'll just move and connect this. Remember, you can also auto connect. Click that and that, that and that, connect that and that, and come all the way to that spot and turn this round. I'll just connect the exterior ones. I want to connect that to that, that to that, and this one to that one. Click that, connect that to that, this one to that one, this to that, and that one to this, and that to that, and turn that round, or rotate that and turn it round. Right click and come to that one and connect, this one and connect, this one and connect, and this one and connect, and this and that connect, this one and this one connect, and this one and this one connect, this and that connect. We're almost there. Remember, we are not doing everything, just connecting the exterior part. The exterior part will get connected. Remember, a reason why it's objecting is because we've just run into a connection here, a flange. Now what will be done, this will be welded directly to that. Just leave that for now. Click that and that, and connect that, connect that. I think you've got the concept, and now we are moving to the next step. Let me just undo that, click on that, and connect that. Right click and get off that. Turn this round, and what we want to create now is the staircase. What we want to create now is the staircase. Now to create the staircase, we want to use the concrete staircase. I'll come to edit here and pick on online, and I want to mark that to that, create a midpoint. Then I'll come here and type staircase, and I'll click inside here and scroll down. I want to use stairwell and elevator shaft and modify it to fit in my requirements. I'll double click on it, and this is what we have. I'll click apply and accept that. Now I'll snap on that spot and go all the way to that location. There we are. Now I want to delete these panels. I'll select this, then select on the panels and delete. I'll delete all these panels. I'll delete all these panels and remain with only the staircase. Come to view and rotate that. Now come to that, double click on this, and we'll change the height here. We'll change the height here to 2, that, and change this to 262, and this one also 9200, and try and see how that fits. Apply and accept that, and we'll change that. We'll delete that, delete the panels, delete all the panels, delete all the panels. Now here we are, and our staircase is in place. Just delete all the panels, and we have our staircase in place, and this is what we have. So the main entry for this section will be, the main entry will be here, so you can access that straight to the staircase to access the uppermost floor. Now the next thing we are going to do is very simple. I'll come here, I'll come right here, and pick on edit, and come to points here and pick any point. Then I'll snap on that spot, just mouse over that and snap right there, and go all the way and make sure my line is straight, and I'll snap at the edge right there and come here just to mark the points, because I want to create a cut. I want to cut out this section. Now I'll come to edit and pick on polygon. I'll pick the part I want to cut, and I want to cut it from that spot and go all the way to that spot, come all the way to that location, and snap right here and come back to my initial spot and click that. I've created a cut, and I want to transfer this part, this cut all the way to the bottom end. How do I do that? I'll just select the cut, profile, and right click and come to special copy and pick linear, then come to z axis and prefix this by negative sign. So I can even feed three of that, then click copy and prefix that with negative sign, and click copy and click OK. That's it. And I'll right click and redraw everything, and if I come to view here and click navigate, I'll be able to turn this around and see, and I'll be able to view my staircase right from top here. Now on this landing, we don't need this landing because it's already on the slab, so there's no need of these landings, so we delete that. We come down here, come at the bottom end here and delete that landing, and delete the landing right there, and come here and rotate this and rotate that. Here we have our floor ready for use. Don't worry about that, this will be modified when now we start now getting serious with the staircase, trying to make it much better. Now we are done with the office section. Now we want to go to the floor section where majority of the work will be done. So I'll come back to PEB, or the pre-engineered building tools. I'll just type PEB here, and that will take me straight to this PEB frame tool or macro. I'll double click on it, and still I'll have my measurements remain the same. Here I'll just change this to 0, and I'll prefix this with a negative sign because I want this to move right at the center of my grid line at the edge. Now I'll get rid of the gables. I'll just pick none. I don't need gables at this moment. I'll click apply, and prior to doing that, make sure you know the number of frames we want. We want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We want 1, 2. Let's just count these physically so that no one get confused. We want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We need 15 of these. Now I'm going to I have fed my measurements here. Now what I'll do, I'll just come here and click apply, then come here and click pick the positions. I want that to start from that spot and run all the way to that spot, and I'll come here and click create. And remember, please check prior to doing anything under which face will that fall. We want that to fall under gables, so we have to go back under gables on face. We have to go back under gables because we did the staircase, and that staircase now will fall under the mezzanine. Now we want the gables just to fall under the portal frames. Take that to gable and set it current and click OK. Now we'll come back and double click on that. Remember, we've lost the moment you disable the macro, you lose your settings unless you save them here. You save them here. Change that to 0, change that to 0, prefix that with a negative sign, and click apply and click pick. Now we can go ahead and pick the points from that spot and go all the way to that spot and click on that, then come here and click create and give it time to load the frames. Here we are, and you can see the small dialog box here. Frames are inserted. Just click on that, then click OK. Remember, we didn't consider removing the inner columns. Now what we are going to do, just undo, just click undo, and this will take us back to, just click undo and double click once again and get rid of this. We don't need any interior columns. We'll prefix that with negative sign, and we'll get rid of this. Change that to 0, change this to 0, and click apply. We don't need the interior columns. I'll apply that and click OK. No, it will not take effect. Just double click. We have a negative sign here, and change this to 0 and change that to 0 and click apply. So once you've clicked apply, please go back and pick the points. Pick the points, and let me just check something. We've included the columns. Click apply, then pick the points. I want to pick that spot and go all the way to that spot and give it some time to load after clicking create. That's it. We have this small dialog box indicating that the frames have been placed. I'll click OK, then click OK here just to get rid of that dialog box. Then come to navigate and rotate this. This is what we want. And now what we want to do is to select everything here. Just select everything here. Make sure you pick on everything. Then press Ctrl and deselect the grid. Then come to navigate and rotate this. We want to populate this along the x-axis. You can see the x-axis is pointing in that direction, but we want to move in this direction, so our dimension will be prefixed by a negative sign. Right click and come to special copy and pick linear. Now under x-axis we have to under z-axis we have to change this to 0 because we want only the x-axis to have a number. Now on the x-axis will feed -6 meters, and we want 15 of these frames. Now I'll click copy. There we are, and let me just zoom out, check whether everything has been done perfectly. It has been done perfectly well, and I'll right click and click interrupt and click on empty screen and click OK here, right click and redraw. And once again I'm going back to PEB frame. I'll just double click on that. Then this time around I'll include the interior columns, that is the gable columns. Change that to 0 and prefix that dimension with a negative sign, and come here and apply and click pick the positions. I want to pick this position and that, and click create and give it some time to load. Click OK once frames has been inserted. Click OK, then click OK here. Then we have our gable in place. Now turn this round and you can see what we have now. We'll pick on that. We'll first of all connect them. Or 32, just type 32, and pick on that. Then we want to connect this to that, and we want to connect that to that, and this one to this one, and we want to connect this to that, and that to this, and this one to that one also, and we want to connect this one to that one, and this one to that, and that to that, this to that, that to that. Perfect. Now we want to copy this. We will pick on this. We'll bring that to that. We'll select on that and pick on that. Then we'll disable this and right click and come to special copy, pick on linear, and which direction should we move. We'll move in the same direction, and remember we want 14 of this, we want 13 of that, just make it 12 and click OK. Remember it is the X axis. Click copy and click OK. We're way off the mark. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we have to pick on that and pick on this. Right click and come to special copy and feed here 5 and click OK. There we are. Right click and redraw. Now our erection is slightly stable. Than previous. Before our frames were freestanding, which was slightly weak. So once all of them has been reinforced or braced like this by this beam, it's quite okay as we still work on it. Now the next part is the purlins, and prior to that we want to check whether our faces are still working, the face manager is working. We'll come to gable. Now we'll come to gable and click on gable and check whether everything has been classified as indicated here. Now you can see the gables, all the gables are selected. So it makes work easier. So if you want to run a drawing, or if you want to create drawings for gables, very simple. And we have also the mezzanine floor. That's it. Just click on empty screen to deselect everything. Now we are going to purlins. We're going to create purlins. We'll close that. We'll close that. Now we want to create purlins. And prior to creating the purlins, first of all, we have to reorient our XY axis. Now we'll come to view, then come to work plane tool, then click on work plane tool, then we just mouse over the slope we want the purlins to take, and you can see the XYZ axis has taken the slope of this rafter, because we want to place the purlins on top of this rafter. So we want it to take the slope, to follow the slope of the rafter. So I'll click on top of this rafter, then right click and come to interrupt on that spot to terminate that active command. Now I want to create a Purlin here. I'll come to steel and come to beam here, and I'll snap right at this spot here. Then move all the way to the midpoint of this point here. I'll snap right there. You can see it is a beam, and it's picking a beam because it is our default steel member. It is our default member. It is the member we created last. So the moment you create any member, it will pick the last profile that you did. So that will be your default. Now to change this, just double click on this, and this will take you to beam properties here. Then click on this radio button here and click on this. This will take you to profile catalog, where you'll be able to change this to the appropriate member. Now we want to change this to Purlin. Then where do we find Purlin? We just minimize this, then come to Purlins here. Just come to Z profiles and click on Z profile. We can pick that because the beauty of this, you can change it to any size you want. So we are comfortable with this. We can change this to 150 or 150. I don't know whether this is within the catalogs of Purlins, but remember this, you can change, you can customize that size. Then click apply, and come here and click modify. Remember, this position will not allow us to place our cleats properly. And remember how we started doing it. We started by clicking on that spot and going to that spot. That defines the direction or the placement of our Purlins, and this will not make us place our cleats perfectly, cleats and the stays. Now what we'll do, we'll just modify, apply, accept to make us default on this type of member when we want again to create a steel member. I'll right click and delete it, then come back again here and come to steel beam and snap on this spot. Snap on that spot and run all the way to this part, and I'll place it right here. You can see that it's now our cleat will sit very well, but we want first of all to offset it inside and bring it up slightly to sit right on top of the rafter. Now double click on it, then come to position right here, and under at depth, instead of sitting right in the middle, take it up, maybe front right there, and right there it is on the front. What you do, just click apply and accept that. Now right click and come to special move, and on the x-axis we want to offset it inside by 100. Now we'll come to x-axis and we'll feed 100 millimeter right there, and we'll click move. It will move inside. It has moved inside. Now we want to bring this, we want another copy on this end. Now what we'll do, just right click while this is actively selected, it's still showing signs of it's within the selection. Now I'll click copy from this edge to this edge, just zoom close so that everything meshes properly, and I'll double click on this end because I want an overlap of 300 of the gable. Now what I'll do, I'll come to position here and I'll type 300 here and click modify. It has not changed. What has changed, the other end has increased, so which we don't want, has decreased, which you don't want. Just click undo and then come here and change that to 0, and come this side, which is end, and type 300, that the offset you want, and that is what we want. We need that offset of 300 of the gable. Now we'll come here and click on this and click on that and give an offset of 1.2 meters, right click and come to spatial copy and click linear, and we'll offset this by 1.2 meters. 1.2, we just need 1 in this case. Click copy. There we are, and that has been done. That has been done. Now we'll come to cold roll. We want to place the cleats and the stays. What we'll do, just type 1, and we'll want to use this cold rolled overlap. We'll just double click on it. Then we saved a connection here. We'll just click load our settings. Now what we'll do, we want to connect this member, and that member, and press your middle button on the mouse, and we wait for the connection. The connection is there. Now I'll come to view, and I want to rotate this because it hasn't picked exact settings that we made, so we want to customize this. Just double click on that. Then we'll come to bolts here. We want 16, M16 will be okay than that. Then click modify, or just M16, which is okay. Then now we'll shift this. We'll just type 2 at an interval of 75, center to center, and that's it. We need some washers there. Click OK, and now we want stays. We want both stays right there, and click modify. Now we have the stays in place. Now we'll apply this. We'll apply this and accept that. Then come to navigate, and we'll rotate this. Same thing we'll do here. We'll come here, and we want to connect this member to that member, and click that. The reason why it's doing like this, because the assembly button is active. So what we'll do, we'll just click undo and switch to that, and come back here and connect that to that, and press the middle button on the mouse, and we have two stays. So this one we don't need. So what we do, we just come back here and double click on that, then come to stay and pick the right one, and click on that and apply. Now we want to populate this. I'll select on that, press Ctrl and select on this, and I want to populate this along the x-axis, and right click on that and click linear, and I'll populate this. I'll click 10. I need 10 of this, and click OK along the x-axis. Remember that. It will not work, though it has worked, because I thought this, when this button is active, our connections might clash, but fortunately enough it hasn't done that. I'll right click and redraw, then I'll come here and pick on that, right click and come to spatial copy, and I want to copy that. I just need one of this, just need one, and click copy. There we are. Now I want to mirror this the other end. And one thing we've forgotten, we've categorized this under gable, and this should be done and purlins, which is still not bad. And what we'll do now, we'll just come back to faces and pick on purlins and set current, then pick on that, then select all the purlins. Select all the purlins, press Ctrl and select all the purlins, then click modify, click OK. Now our purlins have been grouped. Now for the same thing, I'll come back to faces and check whether the purlins have been categorized under purlins, and that's exactly what we want. And I'll come to navigate and rotate this. Once that has been done, what I'm going to do is to mirror this. The other end. And prior to doing that, I have to change the XYZ plane. Now I'll come to view, then come to work plane, pick on work plane tool, and I'll place my work plane tool right here. Make sure it sits properly. No problem. We'll just place it right there, right click and interrupt. Now we'll come to right click and come to mirror. Then we want to use this. We want to use the haunch, this case our haunch, as our mirror line, and define the midpoint here. Run all the way to define the mirror line and snap right here. You can see the moment we click on the mirror line, you can see the angle is 90, and you can go ahead and click copy and give it some time to copy everything. Then click OK, right click and click interrupt to terminate that copy command. So the moment we copy everything the other end, what you'll see, you can see that the stay has taken the opposite direction. Stays are on the opposite direction. Now we want to modify this, so just select everything here. Just select the stays here. Press Ctrl and select the stays. Press Ctrl and select the stays here. Select everything. Select that, and double click on the last one. And change the position of the stays and click OK or click modify. Immediately we do that, it switches on the other end. And click on empty screen, right click and redraw. Now again, we want to populate this along the x-axis, these ones. Now to do that, we'll come back to navigate and we'll turn this in that direction, or we'll turn this in that direction, and we want to pick on this, only this section, because there's a 300 millimeter overlap, so that blocks us from including these purlins on the other end. So what we'll do, we just select only these purlins, then we'll right click and come to spatial copy. Don't worry about the position of x y z axis. We'll just use the z axis. You can see the z axis pointing in that direction. Now we'll change the x axis to 0 and come to z axis. We want to populate this. We'll prefix that with a negative sign. Then we'll feed 6 meters, and we need 17 of this. 17 of that. Now we'll just go ahead and click OK. We don't need 17, I just need 16, and any extra we'll delete. Then click OK, copy. Okay, now you can see everything has been copied. Now I'll right click and click interrupt. And click on empty screen to deselect everything. We have this section. Now the next thing we'll do, just to extend our copying to that end. Just select everything here, then right click and come to spatial copy and click on that. How many do we want? We want 1 and 2. Come to that and just feed 2 of that. Still on the same direction of the axis, just click copy and give it some time to copy. There we are, and click OK. Then once that has been done, come to navigate and rotate this and switch back to the end point here, where could be problems that we need to solve. Now, having selected this, we want to select this. Want first of all deselect that, and let me just take it to a position that will be okay for us to do everything we want. I've selected that. I want to turn that round. Now I'll terminate that selection and press the Ctrl on my button, then double click on the last and include it in our selection. Then come to position here, and I'll feed here 300, negative 300, because I need that extension at the other end. So if I try and click on that, let me see if I'll be able to get the extension in the right direction. It hasn't taken effect. So now what I'll do is just undo, then come here and change that to 0, and come here and feed that 300 here. Feed 300 here and click modify. The extension is there. Apply and accept that. Now deselect everything. You come to navigate and rotate this. Turn it round by pressing your left button on the mouse and hold while holding your left button on the mouse. Now we want to create cleats here. I'll come to that spot and I'll disable that. I want to connect this to that and press on middle button on the mouse, and you can see my stay is on the opposite direction. I'll double click on that and change the position of my stay. Click modify, apply and accept that. Now I'll come here and continue placing my stay. It's not connecting because you see this button is active, so I want to disable the assembly part of this rafter. I'll click on that, then come and disable that. So if you click on that, the stay will just come perfectly well, or the connection will come perfectly well. Click on that and that. Remember, you must pick, first of all pick the main part. Our main part is this, then the secondary part is that. Then press your middle button on the mouse to create the connection. Pick that and that, press your middle button on the mouse, that and that. You can also copy this connection along the axis. Pick that and that, press your middle button on the mouse, do that and do that and that. Make sure everything is complete, that and that. That's a wrong process. That and that. The connection has been created. Remember, at the end we've not done anything, or it has extended in the opposite direction, which is not a big issue. So what we'll do, just select everything here, just select everything here, select everything here, just select everything, and double click on the last one and come to position here and change this to 0 and try to feed 300 on this end and see if an extension can be created, and an overlap of 300 can be created on the right direction. We'll prefix this a negative sign so that it come up. Just give it some time, and there it is. Perfect. I'll click on empty screen, then come to navigate and rotate this. So we want to place our cleats here. I'll come to that, then I want to connect this and that. So in this case, once again, you can see our cleat is in the opposite direction. We change that to that side. Apply and accept that and continue. Disable that and come here and continue placing our cleats and stays. That and that, this and that. Let's continue doing the same thing. It's not such a big job to do. Connect that. Come here and do the same thing here, and do the same thing here. Come here and do the same thing here. here and do the same thing. Let's click that, this and that. So I'll delete this because it has distorted some connection here. Now I'll come here and connect this to that, this to that. Perfect. Now I'll redraw everything just to refresh this model. Now if I turn this round, you can see our purlins are in place, and our go down is coming up neatly. This is what we have. Now we want to place the tie rods to keep our purlins in place when laying the sheets, the iron sheets. You can see this is what we have. Perfect. Now we want to place the tie rods, the anti-sag rods here. You can call them anti-sag rods. Now under PEB, we'll find them under PEB tools. Just type that and we'll pick on the PEB anti-sag roof or wall. We'll pick on this. First of all, you can double click on this just to access its window. So in case you want to change any detail, you can do that. Just double click once again and you can see this. This is the arrangement. So we have the parameters here. You can pick that option. You can see the picture here, how it will appear. Now I'll click apply and accept that. So I want, you can see the instructions here. Pick purlins or pick purlin component, then press the middle button on the mouse. Now I'll pick all this. I want to connect all this with the rod, the anti-sag rod, so that my purlins don't sag at all. Now once I've done that, I'll press my middle button on the mouse and you see this small dialog box asking you, do you need a reference member selection? No, I don't need. Just click no. So the moment you click no, you'll see the anti-rods appearing here, the anti-sag rods appearing here. You can see this is what we're talking about, sitting perfectly well in the right positions. We are going to do the same thing the other end, and we copy this to the rest of our purlins. Now let me do the other end. Click on this and I want to select that, and this one. Just continue copying or doing all this to the other end. Just select everything and press your middle button on the mouse and click no. Don't need any reference. And we want the anti-sag at the apex. Now we will need anti-sag here between this purlin and this purlin right at the apex, and this will be connected right at the top here. You can see that connected perfectly well. So what we'll do, we'll just come here and pick on this. Just click on empty screen. We want to select all these first. Press Ctrl and pick on that and pick on that. So once that has been done, just come here and check the position of your XYZ position. You can see the Z is pointing in the opposite direction, in the opposite direction we will intend to go. So we want to populate this along this. So we want to count this physically so that you can see how many intervals do you need. We want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We need 19. So what we do, just right click and come to special copy here and click linear. Then under Z axis, we just type here 19. 19, then click copy. First of all, check the direction. It is in the opposite direction. That's why we're feeding -6 meters, because center to between the columns, between this distance to this distance is 6 meters. Now I'll click copy. Perfect. I'll right click and interrupt. So if we zoom out, you'll be able to see all this has been copied in their right position. So if there's any part left out, you can just do manually. None is left out. So you can turn that round. We can turn this round and check. You can see that. Neatly done. We can now get rid of the PEB and check around. You can switch back to plan view and you can see how the rods, the anti-sag rods are running across. You can see that. Then you switch back to isometric view, and we can come here and turn this round. You can see that. Neatly done. Check that. Make sure everything is neatly done. You can use we can use the perspective view just to view it. Click that, apply, and click that, and you can come to rotate and turn that round using the perspective view, and you can see that. You can see that. You can get right to the bottom end of our slab. So these are the floors accessible through the staircases. So the walls will be placed here. We'll go step by step till the end of this project. Now I'll turn this round and you can see that. And a perspective view is how it looks. That's how it looks. Now this is a go down, and it can be converted to a warehouse or a very big workshop. That's all for today, and let's meet on the next presentation, and we'll discuss more on tools used on pre-engineered building tools or PEB tools. Now we'll end on this spot, and let's meet on the next presentation. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe, and bye bye. I'm Maurice Dimba.